This morning, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres arriving in Pakistan, appealing to the international community. This morning, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres arriving in Pakistan, appealing to the international community for help in response to the devastating floods that have hit that country, killing almost 1,400 people, sweeping away entire villages, roads, bridges, and livestock. CNN's Clarissa Ward joins us now live from a shelter for the displaced in Karachi. And Clarissa, I imagine there's just so much of a need right now.
Well, John, you heard the Secretary General. He said the support that they have received so far for the UN is just a drop in the ocean of what is needed. And we're here at one of these makeshift camps. They've sprung up all over this area to try to accommodate the millions of people who have been pushed from their homes. And you can see it is a desperate situation here. This used to be a girls' school. People are sleeping on the floor. There are flies everywhere. There are 50 families sharing a single bathroom. A lot of the people we've been talking to have been here for weeks. They're sick, many of them. They're lucky to get food, but simply put, this is not a sustainable situation. And this is also an incredibly expensive situation for the government of Pakistan. The army chief telling the UN Secretary General that they have spent roughly $30 billion. That number is only going to go up because guess what, John? The people we're talking to here say that even when those flood waters recede, they don't want to go back to their homes because they're too fearful that this will happen again. Take a look.
Stopped in Sindh province, but the waters are not subsiding. The city of Siwan had been something of a sanctuary for some of the more than 6 million people displaced by the floods in this region. Now the main highway has become a waterway. Smaller roads into the city are choked with traffic.
So you can see there's just a steady stream of vehicles pouring into this area. These are all people who are desperately trying to escape their villages, which are now completely submerged underwater.
Pakistan is responsible for less than 1% of the world's emissions, but it is paying a stiff price for global warming. Heavy monsoon rains and melting glaciers have left nearly a third of this country underwater, wiping out villages like Seta. When the floods hit, residents carried whatever they could save to a narrow strip of land by the roadside.
So this is how you're living now?
Inam Seto has been living in a makeshift shelter for over a week. There's no gas to cook what little food they have left. Outside aid has yet to arrive, and the prospects of returning home anytime soon are dim. It's very painful to see, but where can we go, he says. This is my ancestral village. A few miles down the road, locals are racing to stay ahead of the relentless waters. The government left them sand to make sandbags, but little other assistance, overstretched by the unprecedented scale of the crisis.
So just so I understand, you are building up these dikes to try to stop that water from completely destroying your village.
There's too much water coming in, Imran Uto tells us, and we're afraid of it.
He's showing how deep it is. Can you see how deep that is?
One man plunges into the floodwater to show how high the waters are. The flooding here has now reached its cruelest phase. The days no longer bring rain, but nor do they bring relief. And for the many who have lost everything, there is nothing to do but wait.
John and Brianna, the UN Secretary General said to the international community that more needs to be done and more needs to be done now, not just out of solidarity, but out of justice. You heard in that piece Pakistan contributing a microscopic amount of the world's emitting gases, paying the heaviest price. Guterres also said that the world's attitude towards combating climate change amounts to insanity at this stage, to collective suicide, if the international community does not get on board to try to deal with this country and support countries like Pakistan that are paying the heaviest price.
Yeah, and watching it unfold, how many people it is affecting here. What are these families telling you, Clarissa?
You know, we've been sitting here talking to a bunch of different families, and every one of them has a horror story to tell. They are in a state of acute poverty. Their houses have been destroyed. We spoke to one family who sold all their livestock to make it here to Karachi, and now they're subsisting on the handouts they get twice a day. They say, we're grateful to have that food to keep our family alive. But in the long run, this is not a sustainable solution. And as I mentioned before, and what has just been so striking, talking to a lot of these people, they don't want to stay here, but they don't want to go back home because they say until we see meaningful change in terms of combating the climate crisis, and as long as we continue to see these terrible epic floods every single year, why would we go back? Why would we invest in rebuilding our homes when we could find ourselves in the exact same situation in 1 year's time, Brianna?
Yeah, and it is an understandable fear. Clarissa Ward, thank you for that report.